Welcome to Caching Waves. This is your Elliott wave update for FLR. If you've been following along, you've seen this count change a couple times, but I think we're on the right track here as a diagonal to the upside. And one thing to keep in mind, I just want to give an alternative, although I think this is the more likely count, is if we fail directly from here, this becomes a complex WXY. I think it's unlikely because we passed the 618 retracement of the move to the downside. And also we broke this order block, which I expect to use as support to get this fifth wave. But I just wanted to make that clear that if we do fail, this has to be relabeled as a WXY. All right, going into my primary count is we have a diagonal to the upside to make a larger A or wave 1. And we're in the middle of the fourth wave of this A or wave 1, consolidating sideways, and in the future expecting this fifth wave up between 4.29 cents and 4.9 cents. You can see that right here, this range between the 618 and the 786. Now it can get extended on linear scale. We can pop a little bit above, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But at the moment, expecting this correction to take quite a while. I'm expecting it to take minimum 382 in time of this third wave, and standard between the 618 and the 1-to-1 in time of this third wave. Why isn't the 1-to-1 on there? There we go. And this doesn't belong. So anywhere in this zone would be ideal, which is between February 23rd and March 7th would be ideal. And we're expecting it to look similar to this wave 2. Now, to keep this intact and as bullish as possible, we want to find support at this previous order block. We'd prefer not to dip below. All that does is switch probabilities a little bit that this could be a WXY. Okay, let's go down to the 1 hour. Looks like we got our pivot over the weekend, which is nice. We're looking for this move as a 3 or 5. Looks like a complex structure as most likely a double zigzag. So as of now, we have 3 waves clear. What we'd like to see is this move in our B wave. Call this an A for now. Could turn into a WXY, but we'll call it an A for now. So we're not sure what we're going to get here. One thing to keep in mind is when we start with 3 waves, we can get very complicated structures. We can get running flats, we can get regular flats. If this is a diagonal, we can get a triangle in a wave 4. So there's a lot of things that can happen. A running flat would be we make a higher high, then our C wave makes a higher high above the A wave. A triangle, I don't really need to describe, but you get the idea. You could get something like that. We can also get a running flat where we make a slightly lower low out in time. But if we need to reach, remember the minimum requirement's 382 here, which I would keep in mind. I like to mark those just to see what sort of patterns coming into these time zones. But this B wave can really get extended out in time. We could also just be on our first 3 waves of an A wave. But there's a lot that can happen here where we come down, then come back, then come down. My suggestion would to stay out of this if you're a swing trader, unless you're watching it on the very small time frames, like I do, down on like the 5-minute levels, just trading literally single waves to the upside, targeting 1-to-1s. It's these areas can really eat up people's accounts because so much can happen in these areas. So if we have a 3-wave pattern down, minimum requirement for a flat is the 70%, which you can see on my fib retracement here. That's an indicator to me that we can get in our next wave to the downside 3 or 5 waves. If we don't reach that, I expect 3 waves as a WXY. If we reach that, I'm like, okay, we can get 5 waves as a flat. That's why I have that on there. And I use the closer of the two, 3196. So 3196, we can get a flat. So it looks like we have either a 3 or a 5 wave move here. This fourth looks a little long, so most likely a 3 wave move. Looks like we're making a sideways pattern here. So my expectation is we make a similar wave as this one after this correction is complete. Now what you have to be aware of, like I mentioned, is this just the first 3 waves of an A wave. And it just gets bigger, which I would argue is probably the case just because of how much time we need to eat up over here if we are in a 4th wave in the diagonal. So looking for a matching wave to the upside and then challenging the A wave again, depending how high this B wave comes. So as of right now, we're kind of stuck in this range, probably for the next week or two, until this correction is complete. But things to keep in mind if you are trading this is you would expect another move to the upside. I'd pull the fibs from our low to our high, just like any other wave. Yeah, this looks complex. It doesn't look impulsive. Trading view. Put on our standard retracements to extend those out. So if you were going to trade this, sorry, that's a little bit hard to see. Let's just get rid of those for now. Make that white so it's easy to see. All right, so there's our zone. We'd want to see between the 50 and the 618. Probabilities go down once we pass the 786. But as of right now, you'd be looking for a 1-to-1 of this first move to the downside as an ABC. If I were to trade this, I would look for something like this, stop at the low, and I would be targeting the 1-to-1 extension of this first wave whenever it ends. So if it ended as a double bottom or slightly lower, it looks like this is a flat correction. Wherever it ends, you can see we'd get our target up here. Right now it would be around 3.3 if the pivot ends close to the low. 326. It all depends where this wave ends. But what I would anticipate is this to correct. We get our correction, come to the 1-to-1, and I would front run that a little bit and I'd scoop my profit right away. That's how I would trade that personally. Stop protecting this previous low. The issue with these is you only get like just 2-to-1s usually when you're targeting the 1-to-1, as long as you get a good buy zone between the 50 and the 618. But it's bread and butter. Like, it's easy. You can get in and out within a day usually. And this is what I do all month pretty much when we're in the middle of corrections, is these sort of trades, rather than waiting for the correction to complete. But you really have to be knowledgeable in what you're doing. So keeping that in mind in the future, we don't know what's going to happen here. We're just looking for 1-to-1s. And as you know, as we get that, we get 3 here. We can get another move to the downside. And this can all become an A wave, literally expecting the same thing back to the upside. That's our larger B wave. And then we come down for our C wave, etc. Rinse, repeat. But going back to the 4-hour, get rid of that. Again, expecting this to eat up time, come out, make our fourth wave. Ideally, we protect this low. We really don't want to break this level to keep this count intact. All right, guys, so that's it for flare. Hopefully that was helpful, but we are making a similar sideways correction as this wave 2. It's going to eat up some time. All right, guys, thanks for watching.